The cowboy who chose a broken heart. The dusty frontier town of Red Creek came alive every Saturday night. Lanterns glowed outside the old social hall while music echoed through the streets. Cowboys laughed, couples danced, and children chased each other beneath the stars. But on one cold autumn evening, Sheriff Ethan Cole noticed something different. Near the wooden fence outside the hall, a young woman sat alone. Her long black hair covered her tear-stained face, and her blue dress was dusty from the road. She hugged herself as though trying to keep the world from breaking her heart any further. Ethan quietly walked over and removed his cowboy hat. "Miss, are you all right?" She looked up with frightened eyes. "Please, just leave me alone." Instead of walking away, Ethan sat beside her without saying another word. Sometimes silence spoke louder than comfort. After several minutes, she whispered, "My name is Clara." "Ethan," he replied softly. She finally told him the truth. Her father had died months earlier, leaving behind debts. A wealthy ranch owner promised to help her family, but only if she married his cruel son. When she refused, they forced her from her home. She had nowhere left to go. Ethan listened carefully. He had spent years protecting strangers, but something about Clara's trembling voice touched his heart. "No one should face this alone," he said. "Come with me." He wrapped his coat around her shoulders and led her through town. People stared, but Ethan ignored every whisper. He took Clara to his small ranch outside Red Creek. His elderly housekeeper, Martha, welcomed her with warm soup, fresh bread, and a comfortable room. For the first time in weeks, Clara slept peacefully. Days turned into weeks. Clara helped feed horses, planted flowers around the cabin, and filled the lonely house with laughter. Ethan discovered that beneath her sadness was a brave and kind woman who never complained despite everything she had lost. One evening they watched the sunset together. "I forgot sunsets could be beautiful," Clara whispered. "They're even better when someone shares them with you," Ethan answered. Slowly, friendship became love. But happiness rarely comes without a test. One afternoon, 3 riders arrived at Ethan's ranch. Leading them was Victor Harrison, the spoiled son of the wealthy ranch owner. "You belong to me," Victor shouted at Clara. "You signed the agreement." "I signed nothing," Clara replied firmly. Victor smiled cruelly. "Your father's debt says otherwise." Ethan stepped forward. "Leave." Victor laughed. "You think one sheriff can stop me?" "I don't think," Ethan replied calmly. "I know." The men drew their guns. A tense silence covered the ranch. Suddenly, bang! A shot rang through the valley. Ethan had fired into the ground. "This is your last warning." Victor realized Ethan wasn't afraid. The 3 riders slowly turned their horses around. "This isn't over," Victor growled before disappearing into the dust. That night Clara cried, "I'll only bring danger into your life." Ethan gently held her hands. "You didn't bring danger. You brought a reason to fight." Months later Ethan traveled to the county courthouse. After searching old records, he uncovered the truth. Victor's father had forged the debt papers. The judge immediately canceled every false claim. Clara was finally free. The entire town celebrated. Music returned to the social hall. This time Clara wasn't sitting outside crying. She stood inside wearing a beautiful white dress while Ethan waited in his finest cowboy clothes. As the violin played, they exchanged simple vows. "I promise to protect your heart. I promise to believe in yours." The whole town applauded. Years passed. Together they rebuilt Clara's childhood home and opened a small school for children whose families couldn't afford education. People admired Ethan because he was brave. But they admired Clara because she proved broken hearts could heal. One winter morning, Martha became seriously ill. Before she passed away, she smiled at Ethan and Clara. "You two reminded an old woman that love still exists." Her final words stayed with them forever. Life continued with both joy and sorrow. They welcomed 2 children, a son named Samuel and a daughter named Rose. Every Saturday evening, Ethan took his family to the same social hall where he had first found Clara crying. One day little Rose asked, "Papa, why do we always come here?" Ethan smiled. "Because this is where I found the greatest gift God ever gave me." Clara squeezed his hand. Years later, Ethan's hair turned gray, and Clara's smile carried gentle lines of age. One evening they sat together on the porch watching another sunset. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't stopped that night? Clara asked. Ethan looked at her lovingly. I would have spent my whole life searching for something I never knew I'd already missed. She rested her head on his shoulder. The wind carried the sound of distant music from town. Just like the night they first met. Love had not erased their pain. It had given their pain a purpose. And everyone in Red Creek remembered the story of the cowboy who found a crying stranger outside a dance hall, took her into his arms, and chose to love her when the world had abandoned her. Because sometimes the strongest cowboys don't win battles with guns. They win them with kindness, courage, and a heart willing to protect someone else's broken soul.